You've spoken about it in several media platforms already, and it's closely related to what we're talking about now. It's something called BASA, the Bilateral Air Service Agreement.
Correct.
And you've said in some of the things, some of your, sometimes you're on channels television and some other media platforms, and I read where you said several of the BASA agreements we have in the country are not good enough. In fact, a lot of them have not been domesticated. A lot of them have not even been, they've not been put into law. So what is BASA to start with, and how does it affect the common man?
BASA is what you call, like you said, Bilateral Air Service Agreement. It helps to regulate air service practice and between two nations.
Okay.
You have BASA, you have MASA, Multi-Air Service Agreement, you know. But in this case, BASA is usually done between two countries to protect the air carriers and their citizens. For example, the BASA states deals with pricing. BASA deals with the type of aircraft, the size of aircraft, the capacity of the aircraft, and the number of entry points.
Okay.
It deals with that. But while Nigerian Airways was in operation, quite a number of BASAs were passed.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, when Nigerian Airways folded up, the BASAs gave birth to what you call commercial agreements. Commercial agreements are between airlines.
Oh, okay.
For example, Nigeria and the United Kingdom, you know, have BASAs. I think we've entered into about 78 in total.
Okay.
And but maybe just about 25 are really worthy of, you know, of discussing right now. And do we get the same kind of aircraft? For example, when you decide to go with British Airways to America, you get to the United Kingdom first, Heathrow maybe, and then onwards. You discover that the kind of aircraft that plies our route is different from the aircraft that plies the route between the United Kingdom and America.
But we're thinking ideally in the BASA agreement, all that should be stated clearly.
That's correct. That's correct. There's no reciprocity.
Wow.
There's been this continuous argument of, a BASA is a mere agreement. It's not worthy of domestication, or there isn't the requirement for domestication here. And I absolutely disagree, because it's an agreement, and when it has no legal backing, it means you can't go to court to challenge certain things here. It means it hasn't offended any laws of the land here, only internationally. But then, how are you able to go? Must you always go to international courts to settle disputes when they can be taken care of? If you remember, at a point in time, I'm not sure, I think it was the current minister when she first came on board, and she raised a bit of dust about pricing, why we had to pay more between here and the United Kingdom, and why it was, and in Ghana's case, was way cheaper than ours. And there was a newspaper article where the Prime Minister of the United Kingdom spoke up to say, listen, you know what? Everything is contained in the BASA. Basically, there isn't any kind of reciprocity here. But what I'm really concerned about is its implication on our local aviation industry.
Okay.
How do I say? If the multiple entry points is another thing we really need to look at. I'm not even going to talk about the amount of monies we lose from the commercial agreements right now. That are we getting what is entitled to Nigeria? But it's not about the money. Let's talk about the services right now and the implication. Now, you fly between here, and if you're going to Manchester, you get to Heathrow first, and then you get to connect to wherever you're going locally by patronizing the local aviation industry. That's our flag carrier is ARIC, and ARIC is only allowed to land in Heathrow. But in this case, British Airways comes to Lagos, I think they have about either 7 or 14 flights a week in and out of Lagos. They get to Abuja. I think Port Harcourt. I'm not too sure about Port Harcourt. But Kano, they used to love to do Kano. But of course, the goings-ons there isn't making it too attractive at the moment. But no, they don't do Port Harcourt. Now, they're taking away flights that belong to the local aviation industry, like the Ariks and the Chachangis and you know, all those other ones.
So how are we going to correct this?
That's why we have asked for a BASA audit. Okay. The committee moved a motion on the floor of the House, which was also unanimously, I wouldn't say unanimous, it was supported by the entire House to say we need to have a look at our BASAs to see whether we're actually benefiting and what the implications are on our local aviation industry.
But how much cooperation are you having? I understand this a call was made about 6 months ago.
No, it hasn't been 6 months yet. Okay. We will be holding, this is relatively new. Okay. The call was to require, what you're talking about. Yes. I think that was a motion which requested that all treaties requiring domestication be forwarded to the National Assembly so that Nigerians can benefit from it. Okay. And of course, in the process of looking at it, you would see that some treaties are completely outdated. But we're talking about BASA now.
And that's what your House committee is focused on the treaties?
On treaties.
On all the treaties.
And treaties and agreements, of which BASA is a part of. But the committee of treaties and agreements will be looking into the BASA with the Committee on Aviation, because there is a Committee on Aviation. Okay. You know.
Oh, interesting.
And, we're hoping that eventually we'll be able to confirm if truly Nigeria has benefited or is benefiting, or if there's any form of reciprocity. Because you keep seeing, like I've always said, we keep hearing of air crash, and we never get to hear the results. But usually you discover that airlines cut corners. And what is the reason? Because what they're meant to be making is being taken away from them. Look at Ethiopian Airlines is now flying Enugu. What's wrong with our local airlines? They're now competing with them. They don't do international. They're contented with, or they're restricted to local travels, yet the international airlines are still coming in and are moving in on the local routes, which you will not see happen in any other part of the world.
Interesting. So we're looking forward to the Air Passengers Bill, and we're looking forward to the correction of all our BASA agreements and so many other nice things that your committee is doing to improve service delivery to every Nigerian out there.
Thank you.
Let's just take an overview of the aviation sector.
Correct.
Your thoughts on the sector. What are they doing well? What are they not getting right at the moment?
No, we're not getting it right. We're really not getting it right. And I'm saying this categorically not to witch hunt anybody, but just to let it be known that we can only get better. And in order to get better, we have to assess. I mean, there's no need saying it. You can see it's right there in our faces. Yes, a few airports are being built here, there, being renovated. But we're talking about services first of all. Services. Even in cases, the international airport, MMA, it still takes you forever, a minimum of 3-4 hours after landing to get out of there with your luggage. And you want that services, and it's not about, how it's been renovated. Yes, that's a part of it. But we need to understand that airports, aviation business, airport is a business. Look at how the Emirates are taking it. They're building 5-star, 7-star airports, 5-star airports.
Yes.
It's a lot of money, billions can be made from this. And until we're able to realize that and put that into practice, that's the only time that Nigerians or Nigeria will eventually benefit. If you look at how the surroundings of, what's the point in renovating the airport, and then you see the first thing you see coming out of on landing in Nigeria and coming out, you see tankers parked on branded tankers with different
companies,
oil companies,
yes,
well branded. You don't see that happen in any other part of the world.
Oh.
So that should also be taken into consideration. You know.
Fantastic. Well, a lot needs to be done in our aviation sector and in several sectors across the country. But then there's a ray of hope with the Air Passengers Right Bill, and the correction of all our BASA agreements will show that we will fly safer and we will have more comfortable time in our airports going forward.